Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. Thank you this morning. Thank you, Dave. There's, I don't believe we have any matters arising from closed session, Mark. And we'll let the minutes show that only those matters that we went into closed session were the only matters discussed in closed session. Public meetings, we have none at this point in time that I'm aware of. And I've already made one mistake because I should have returned us back from closed session, and I have a motion here. I have a motion moved by Mark Rapke and seconded by John Eccles. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby returns to open session of Council at, what are we at?
10:08.
10:08? 10:06? What's it going to be? 6 or 8? 10:06, okay. AM, not yet. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Now we're back to open session of council. And Mark, I'll say now, let the minutes show that we are only those matters that we went into closed session are the only matters discussed. Thank you. No public meetings. The consent agenda, and I have a motion moved by Don B. Marshall and seconded by Mark Rapke. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Council of the Municipality of West Grey held February 18th, 2003 be approved as printed, and further that the minutes of the West Grey committees A2 be received as circulated, and further that the minutes of other committees A3 be received as circulated. Any questions or comments on the consent motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That would be carried. Okay. Thank you. Brings us down to Jason. Communications from the Mayor and Council. Is there any communications from any council members? Deputy Mayor? Nothing? John?
Yeah, well, communications to council, I will be bringing forward and asking for a direct motion at the end of this meeting to ask for a resolution from West Grey to support Dr. Hazel Lynn and her assessment on moratorium of wind turbines in Grey and Bruce counties.
Okay, thank you. And anything else on a lighter? Well, it wasn't quite as light. Had the ability to attend the Roma Good Roads OGRA conference last week. We did have 2 delegations with ministries. Spoke to the Ministry of Natural Resources on our ongoing problem with seagulls on some of our facilities and what remedies we may be able to use there, and also spoke about the bald eagles that are nesting in West Grey and our concerns with the wind turbine reports that indicated that there was no bald eagles or any sight of them. So we'll be trying to gather some information and put that forward to M&R as well too. And we also met Director of Public Works and myself and the Deputy Mayor met with the Ministry of Infrastructure and Transportation and discussed our concerns on the connecting link in Durham. As you know, between in the town of Durham, Highway 6 runs through, and not specifically the roadway itself, but the bridge on Garifraxa North has been on MTO's report to do some municipal or some upgrading work on that, maintenance work, and we have received at the end of March there'll be no connecting link funding for those projects, and we're implying that going forward we understand, but something that has been thought of to being a partnership, and hopefully they will look at completing those. Our suggestion was in completing in the partnership and getting those off, and anything coming forward will be under the new regime. So we'll see how that goes. I know that there was a number of other municipalities that brought forward the same type of concern, especially here in Grey County, Grey Highlands, and Chatsworth, and the city of Owen Sound as well too, and the town and the municipality of Meaford and the town of the Blue Mountains, with Highway 26 running through their municipalities and those connecting link concerns. So big concern on funding some of those large projects. I would hate to see Highway 6, the traffic, well, maybe it would be a good idea that it would come as far as Durham and then would have to stay here, because we'd have the bridge at a 5-ton limit. It's certainly not at that aspect right now, but going forward, if it is 100% responsibility of the municipality, it may take us a while to build up the funds to be able to do that maintenance work that's on it. So we'll see where the ministry goes and how well they're going to partner with us on that. And very good, well attended, the conference. I think registration was down slightly, but the ministers from the government and a lot of opposition MPPs made themselves available as well too, and some speeches from all 4 leaders of the provincial parties spoke as well too. And that's about all that I have to report. Anything else? Seeing none, then we will move on. Delegations. And I do see that Mr. Weppler is here, bringing great prizes and platitudes towards the municipality of West Grey. Because Jason Weppler from the Health Promotions from the Grey Bruce Health Unit is with us, and I believe you have something that we've been very much waiting for to receive again. Jason, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
We do have accessibility here, so just wondering if you can use our mics there.
So thank you, Mayor and members of Council, for the opportunity to come here today. I'd like to just say from the outset, thank you for your continued support of the PLAY program. Since the inception of the program in 2007, the municipality of West Grey has supported the program both through staff and council support, as well as financially with an annual contribution, which has helped us move the program forward and certainly try and address some of the physical inactivity problems in Grey and Bruce counties. On that note, I guess not so much physical inactivity problems in your community on Family Day, because you guys, as you mentioned, will receive again what was previously the shortest day of play award is now the Family Day of Play award, and a couple weeks ago, West Grey certainly came out well on top of the other 17 municipalities across Grey and Bruce. Over 4,000 hours were logged on that day. So I'd like to give special thanks to Councillor Thompson for leading the initiative on behalf of West Grey. I know he put a lot of personal time towards organizing events on Family Day on behalf of the municipality, so thank you. Thank you, Councillor. And if I can have the Mayor come up and receive the trophy, that would be wonderful.
Ask Councillor Thompson to come out as well too, because he was the person that led, took the bull by the horns, as the saying would go, and would ask Rob to be here to accept it on behalf of the municipality.
And no shirts this year, but I'm going to leave you with a nice toque to keep your head warm over the rest of the winter months.
Well, that's very interesting. Most people have said I've been a hothead, yeah. So this will just keep it there.
If it's too small, find a younger fella to hand it off to. There you go, gentlemen.
Jason, thank you very much for the help and your support. almost perfect.
I have my own. I have my own, thanks.
There we go. I thought you were supposed to give all those in.
I did.
Okay.
Didn't take long to get them out either.
Well, when you've got that many people here.
We didn't have a 12 event. No. We skipped from December to 12. So you guys have played 30 first years.
The reign of dominance.
There you go. On display.
That would have been very participatory. Okay, we'll get back to more serious business now. Not leaving anything that activity and whatnot isn't serious, but we do have another activity on the agenda this morning, and that was arising from the previous meeting. We had a delegation here from the West Grey ATV Club on a proposal. Council has had time to review the schedule and the request from the ATV Club, so I'm going to ask, is there any time to, or any questions, comments coming forward from that? Councillor Lawrence. Carol?
But I am prepared to support this, but I do have a question, and I wonder why they need that number 7. When I look at the map, to open that road allowance to the north there of South Line, it's not leading anywhere, and you can follow right down side road 40. You can come right down to Bootjack Road and then across the South Line. So I guess my support would be without 7, because it's not connecting anything there at all. And I think the comment was made, it was easier for some of their members to get down there, but really I think we should just keep the trail consistent, and that leads nowhere.
Excuse me, we had a response from the president of the ATV Club, and just on that concern on number 7, Scott Kilpatrick had sent in this email. The other reason we would like number 7 considered is we need this road to make the loop of the trail if the river crossing on Bootjack Ranch Road is too high due to springtime high water, or if the Saugeen Valley Conservation will not allow the river crossing. So we would like this road for an alternate route, and they just asked that be forward. So that would be the...
Can I ask them where, because they can't go on the county roads, can they? So
that's correct.
Yes. So again, I mean, that leads to a county road. So how are they going to loop around?
So I think what it is an alternate route would be coming down the north line, or sorry, well, it would come down the Baptist Church Road, but not the north line, but the 4th, concession 4. Yes, come down concession 4 to the Baptist Church Road, and then come straight south there instead of coming down Bootjack Ranch Road. Is, I believe, what they're as an alternate route. Now, in saying that, maybe what it is instead of opening up those two on the Bootjack Ranch Road, that they come down the 4th and come down, so there'd be 2 roads there that wouldn't be open, and just make that the main route, so that there is no question on the crossing of the Saugeen River, of the Rocky there. Could be taken into consideration. See what I mean? Any other questions or comments? Councillor Thompson. Rob?
Yeah, just to address Councillor Lawrence further on that, we did get an email from the property owner along that stretch of closed roadway, and she actually was here at that meeting, that public meeting we had here. She didn't speak at that time, but she's totally in favor of having the ATVs go through there to maintain her property and to look after it, to keep other people that do happen to go up through there out of that area and help her control her property. So she's totally in favor of the ATVs coming through there. And it's just, and once again, they're only going to be accessing that occasionally. It's not going to be an ongoing event all the time. They probably run 2 events during the year, and there might be a couple of times that there's not going to be a whole lot of traffic on it at this point. So, and there won't be any upgrades unless permission's granted from Public Works, but the road's in good shape for that specific use, and it's not an issue to anyone. I know there was concerns from a gentleman at the south end, south of that road, south of the south line, but he's probably a good 3/4 of a mile away from that location, and the incident he spoke of happened before this club even started, before the bylaw was passed by the municipality. So there's been no problems with him involving the ATVs on his property since this bylaw came into effect and the ATV club was formed. And now that this ATV club is part of the Eastern Trail Alliance and have membership with this, they're continuing on and moving forward and trying to develop a proper trail system to try to eliminate the road use. So that's what the idea, that it won't be traveled that much, but it's just an access for them to get off Bootjack Ranch Road, and if you can't obtain that creek, and I know they're working with Saugeen Valley right now and the Ministry of Natural Resources on the river, and common sense with the club is that they won't be crossing it when high water levels, and they won't be crossing it unless there's river rock in that river area. So it's just an easier way for them to, during a rally, if they need to access that. And that's all it would be.
Okay. Councillor Eccles. John?
On kind of a related thing, I was talking to a snowmobiler this morning and asked him how much money he spent on Saturday. And they went away up around through, made the big loop up around, and they spent $150 a piece. Now, it wasn't all spent in West Grey, but it was certainly spent in Grey County. And I just can't see turning down this kind of chance for economic development within our municipality. I'd like to see them maybe a little closer to towns that we could maybe get some more money out of them buying gas and stuff and at restaurants, but I'm totally in favor of it.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Bell. John?
Yes, and I would support Councillor Eccles' assessment of that. I haven't heard of a business person that has said no to this idea. And I guess if we're, like John said, trying to promote business within our municipality, trying to get people drawn here for a short time, whatever, to drop a few dollars into the local economy, I think it's very, very worthwhile. I know there's some concerns out there, but the ATV club in our part of the world have proven to be good neighbors, have wanted to support the municipality, have wanted to support the council that supports them, and on that request I have to support them in this instance, because I know that they do like to marshal their own trails. If there's going to be someone on there like Councillor Thompson that's going to take charge kind of guy, I'm pretty sure it's going to work well. There'll always be the odd person that isn't going to play by the rules. It doesn't matter if we're out on Highway 6 or 4 or on any other road. There's going to be somebody that goes too fast, and yes, there might be an accident. We hope there's none of those, but at the same time, I can't see a downfall to this. We're not going to live in a fearful society. So with that, I support the businesses who support the ATVs, and I support the ATV club.
Mark? Councillor Rapke.
Well, I think it's all good points that definitely there'd be some economic benefit from ATVs going, being present similar to the snowmobiling. But I mean, there is also the context that there are other people that use those facilities. Okay, I know in the upper right-hand corner in 1 or 2, there are people that walk those roadways. And, when I look at it, we want to share the facilities, but when you're walking and there's 30 ATVs coming, you're getting off the trail and you're waiting till they leave, and then you're walking in fumes for the next 10 minutes. I do it while I'm cross-country skiing there when the snowmobiles go by. The odor just hangs in the air for quite a bit of time. So, and it's not that I'm against the ATVs, but the question here, I guess, for me is we're talking about opening certain specific unopened roadways. Why haven't we been talking about, do we support a trail system on our roads? Because that's really what this is. It's not, we've got, 5% is on unopened roads. 95% is, are we in favor of designating roadways and calling them trails in West Grade? Like, that's the part I'm having trouble with. Why are we designating those roadways when there's a road system? The point of the bylaw in the first place was to give everyone on ATVs access to the roadway, the public roads, which made sense. That's consistent with all other motorized vehicles. But certainly the snowmobile club doesn't use the roadways for 95% of their trails, whereas this is. So that's the problem I'm more grappling with. Rather than sections of unopened road allowances, are we saying that we're going to designate a trail, and what does that mean? Using our roadways going with all-terrain vehicles through the municipality. That's the part, I guess, the question I still have open in my mind.
Councillor Eccles, John?
No, I was just going to be argumentative, and I'll hold that to myself.
Councillor Thompson, Rob?
Yeah, just to address some of your concerns. It's been, now that they are affiliated to the Eastern Trail Alliance, and it's always been, since this West Grade Club has started, part of the rules and responsibilities of being a club member is that when you meet other people walking on the trails, horseback riding, you are obliged to stop your ATV, shut it off, take your helmet off till they pass by. And our club, or this club, does do that when they do meet horses and so on. The idea of using the unmaintained roads is to obtain landowners' permission, which they have a form that gives them the idea that they can cross private property and develop our land so they do get off the roadways. And to do that, to get a trail system, to start from Markdale and go right through to Mildmay, through the property, private property, is to use some of this maintained roads, and that's the idea about it. Is to get off the roads. They don't want to. It's hard on their bikes. It's hard on everything. It's hard on the roadways. So they don't want to be on the roads. They like the trail system, but they need certain roadways to obtain that and to build a trail system. It's the same as the snowmobile clubs. They use them on maintained roads. They use the main roads, and they go through private property. It's the same idea, and that's the idea behind it. But they're responsible enough. And the idea behind this club is to educate other people that ride ATVs and get them within the club and to stop some of this rebel riding that goes on with the ATVs.
Councillor Marshall, Dunn?
I guess when the bylaw was first brought out back 3 or 4 years ago about the roads, it was kind of a stepping stone to having them make a trail system. That was just the first little step for them. And I can see this evolving down to these trails and then maybe across some farmers' fields. I have a real concern with damage that could be done, maybe not with the four-wheelers, but with four-wheel drive trucks using that. And if the damage is done by four-wheel drive trucks, that is going to come back onto the four-wheelers probably. So I don't know how they're going to maintain these trails. I would like to give the permission to try. I think they should be given permission to go through this, take baby steps in this whole procedure. I'm not sure if I agree with having number 5 in this first year. It's kind of off that trail system per se, as the green lines show. So I'm just not sure with that one, if it could be left off this year. And I know in the bylaw it says that we review this every December, and that was talked about not reviewing it again this year because everything has been going very smoothly. But now that should be left in there maybe, and see how this flies over the summer if this is passed.
Thanks, Don, and I'll just ask, Rob, you have a little more knowledge. ATVs, are they allowed on the provincial highways?
They are on number 6 highway. And my understanding is from Mount Forest to Tobermory along the shoulder of number 6. That's the only highway in the province that they are allowed to travel. Okay. And that was provincially legislated years ago.
Okay. Because that's the only way really to access that number for the unopened road allowance there at Orchard.
Yeah, you can come out of Southgate and then up number 6 and then on to the 35, but yeah, that's what's been the practice. And it's only, I think, one time last year it was used. So, and the idea too is with that trail system down there is to hook on and hopefully help Huron Shores with their trail system coming across to West Grey and Dufferin Grey Club coming westbound. Is the idea to connect the 2 trail systems and have 3 and keeping it as West Grays at the time. But yeah, and as far as unmaintained roads, there won't be any work done on, my understanding is no work to be done on those unless there's permission granted from the Public Works Director, because those roads shouldn't have vehicles, trucks on them, but there is, and they have been used by trucks and motor trucks in the past, so there won't be anything that will open that up, so they'll just be used basically for ATVs, but you can't stop the trucks too hard. They seem to go through there and they cause a lot of the damage. So,
Councillor Lawrence. Carol.
Thank you. Given Councillor Thompson's explanation around 7 and the river, I can support this. But I guess my next question is, will the insurance of the ATV Club indemnify West Grey? Because if we are, by bylaw, allowing them to use our road allowances, there's a liability issue there.
And from my understanding, yes, that will be an absolute, would be in the bylaw, that there would be indemnification. I know from the Dufferin Grey one on the county rail line, from Dundalk through to Owen Sound, that they have the insurance and the county is indemnified on that trail system. Any other questions or comments? Just one question, if I may, from the chair. Number 4, dealing with south of Allan Park, and it was how they connect the 2 trails, the one south and the one north. And I just, that unopened road allowance at Hamden, would we be better just to go straight down the Mulock? Was there any consideration of just going to the Mulock Road and connecting with the trail system there instead of coming down the town line and then on the Hamden side road 20? Because if I'm not mistaken, Ken, we have gates on that unopened road allowance already coming out at Hamden, and might be some question of whether the cemetery is even on the road allowance or not in there. Just that I think there could be some complications. Ken?
Yes, I believe there's there certainly is gates on there, but there's also a farmer, I believe, is cropping the road allowance there, so that's going to be another matter we have to deal with. Just further to the road allowances that they're wishing to put into their trail system. As council's aware, we from time to time we have illegal activities going on these unopened road allowances, such as garbage being dumped and whatever. So with the increased surveillance by the ATV club and their marshals, it may be a benefit to West Grey, I believe. So.
Good point. This will become, if it's council's wish, we'll be directing our clerk to form a bylaw for February the 18th meeting, as was suggested. I said February, didn't I? Haven't got the calendar flipped over yet, Mark. I said the right day, the 18th, yeah. March the 18th. How do you want Mark to prepare it? The same way as what the proposal from the club? Yes. And we can, if there would be, I guess the amendments could be made at the bylaw. That would make it more clear for him at this point in time. Councillor Lawrence. Carol?
Will you be able to get your question answered, though, so as far as coming down the Mulock Road? I can see what you're talking about there. Right down the Mulock Road to the, what is that, concession 18, instead of deviating around.
I would hope to be able to do that, yes. But in the meantime, I think if we're given direction, we can have it that it's left in, and if that's what I'm saying, we can make amendments to the bylaw before it's passed. If there's any further information going to come forward for us. Okay? Anybody in immediate concern about bringing the bylaw forward on the 18th of March? So I see all heads nodding. So Mark, I'm going to take that as a consensus. We'll bring the bylaw forward as proposed by the West Grey ATV Club for access onto those roads. Okay? Good enough direction, sir? Very good. The next one that was arising from the meeting was, if we're done with that, move on with First Ontario Energy Inc. Was requesting council to move a motion or support motion resolution for their solar farm, I guess is the terminology for it. There was five, yeah, as Mark is saying, there's 5 different proposals there. It makes up about 75 acres, 60, somewhere in that neighborhood anyways, a large portion of land. In the Bentic, north of basically geographically between Hanover and Elmwood and the Crawford area. That triangle type aspect is where we're looking at it, and we said we'd have time to think about it from our meeting in February. So here we are. Any thoughts on putting a resolution of support for this? The reason for the support, of course, is when they make the application, it's on a point awarded system, and if the municipality is in favor, it offers the company a couple of more points in their scoring system with the Ministry of Energy to go ahead with this type of project. Comments? Deputy Mayor Bell. John.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start this off. As councillors can see, I brought a piece of paper to council today. This is an article that appeared in the Toronto Star last Wednesday when we just happened to be in Toronto at the Good Roads Convention. It talks about what it's going to cost the average taxpayer in the next number of years in terms of what the electricity is doing in the province, whether it be wind, solar added to the grid or whatever. You know, I guess goes along with what Dr. Lynn has said earlier. And this is solar, and with regards to wind and solar, yes, it's a little bit different. But I just can't see right now where there's a benefit to the municipality on this. There's a benefit to the landowner, yes, and I appreciate them and congratulate them for taking up the initiative to try to make their life better. That's no problem, but it's a limited amount of people. There's no benefit to West Grey as far as the whole municipality goes. There's a benefit to the manufacturing company. There's a benefit to the company who's going to put them there, but after that the benefits are very, very limited. I can't support this initiative. To put a great big solar farm in on one proposal is for about 15 acres and have solid solar panels for 15 acres, I can't support that. I have nothing against a person who puts private individual solar panels up. I have them right around my place. I also have a couple of smaller windmills near my place. That's no problem. That's a private individual doing it on their own land. I think we need to support the landowners in that aspect, but I don't believe we need to support large conglomerations wanting to move into West Grey.
Councillor Thompson. Rob?
Yeah, I don't support this. I got problems with the supporting this type of projects. The Habitat for Wildlife, the problems that this project would cause, and I don't know, it just seems to be a moneymaker for some people, and I don't agree that we should support this at all.
Councillor Rapke. Mark?
So I'm trying to understand the difference from what you guys are saying, as if just down the road here, the factory that's there. Tell me the difference between supporting another factory opening up or putting solar panels on marginal agricultural land as they're proposing.
Go ahead, Rob.
Well, my thoughts are the factory down the road here is putting it on the roof. They're actually talking about taking farmland and covering it with solar panels, 150 acres of farmland, put solar panels on it, where this is a roof. This is industry as such. If we can attract the sale of this building and assist with that and bring some economic development back into this area and industry, this is a plus. By putting it on a farm, I don't agree. You're wasting farmland. It's good farmland, and by putting a solar farm on it, that's the difference.
Again, Mark?
Yeah, well, in terms of the farmland, though, if I remember correctly, the map that they drew, it has to be on, I think it was a poor class, and I can't remember the number. Maybe four? Class 4, yeah, or less. So it's probably not that productive. But what I'm saying is, what we're, you know, the argument is we shouldn't support it because there's no benefit for West Grey, or, you know, it's a conglomerate making money. I don't know how that's any different than if this was an application to build some sort of manufacturing facility or whatever. Like I'm on that basis. I know there's jobs with the other ones, but what's in terms of, if I, you know, visual, it's land covered with manufactured things, whether it's a building or whether it's solar panels. I'm just trying to understand the difference there. I personally like solar energy as compared to the wind power, simply because it's not obtrusive. They do have to plant trees to hide it from vision. I can't see it over the treetops like a wind farm. So the impact is pretty low, apart from the fact that it is taking up some marginal agricultural land. But you know, personally, I think it's we should support it, and in fact, I think we have supported some other ones, perhaps not ground mount into this magnitude. But if we were to say no to this one, we need to be thoughtful of what we're saying no to in terms of other people coming forward with similar type proposals.
I'm going to take Councillor Bell or Deputy Mayor Bell. John.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and to go along, I can appreciate your views, Mark. I really can. I guess I'm a little bit, shall we say, tired of corporations coming and wanting to settle in Grey or West Grey with the idea that they can, because the provincial government is backing an idea that, whether they like it or not, a lot of the citizens in West Grey don't like. As far as Class 4 land, you still can grow stuff on Class 4 land, whether it be Christmas trees, whether it be biofuels in terms of switchgrass, meniscus, or whatever for biosolid fuel, you can still do that. Yes, you can't grow corn or soybeans on it, I'll grant you that, but that's a specialized deal too. But we had a presentation from an organization. Yes, the bond fields of the world, or the construction company, is going to have short-term construction here. There's not going to be any long-term jobs here. Okay, so yeah, like I said before, you have the landowner, and you have the company making money, but that's a very limited amount. And yes, it is intrusive to a lot of people. Yes, they have to plant trees around them. There's some few gentlemen, not only this council table, but also in the audience, like to do a little bit of hunting. And sometimes there's a little errant shot. You haven't done much hunting unless you shoot and maybe miss. And if they hit one of these solar panels, it could cause a little bit of damage. I don't know who's going to be on the hook for that. Of course, if you get away with it, you're gone. But with that idea, there's a lot of ifs and buts. And once again, I just can't support this in the idea that there's only a certain amount of people that are going to benefit from this and not the municipality as a whole or the general majority of the citizens.
Councillor Lawrence Carroll.
Thank you. Just pass on a concern that Bev found out at the conference, that apparently they anchor these things in bedrock. So what does that do if you have a whole farm and it's anchored in bedrock? But I can't support it. I support them on the roofs. I think like Interforce, that's a great idea. Putting it on a farm like that, no.
Anybody know how far they'd have to go to get bedrock in Bentic?
I don't know, but that's what Bev was saying. She had talked to, I think it's from down east.
I think it's Eastern Ontario, yeah.
They have them, and I know
it.
the one gentleman was quite concerned about these solar farms.
Okay, any other comments? Mark, go ahead.
I'll just, again, trying to, what if this was, the proposal was to put up a pig barn the same size? Who gets the benefits? The farmer. That's it, right? Guys, I'm just sorry, I'm trying to distinguish why this is a basis. I'm not really hearing anything that this is a bad idea other than it's different than what other options might be. That's the problem I'm having.
John, Councillor Eccles.
I've been struggling with this thing of covering farmland with solar panels as well. But the thing that I'm looking at is there's only so much capacity to put electricity into the lines. And if we're opposed to wind turbines and we can put solar panels up and take up some of their capacity to reduce the amount of wind turbines, I have to vote for it.
Well, any other questions or comments? Councillor Marshall, Don, weigh in.
Well, even though I'm not in favor of these big companies taking over our energy supply, I have to support this also. I think that we're going to be in transition between, it used to be natural gas is still an up-and-coming source, I guess, but oil and coal used to provide our power, nuclear for the last 40 or 50 years, and that this green energy will transition us from that nuclear when it finally is weaned out, I guess. So the only thing I'm disappointed is that the people of the Ontario are not taking this by the horns and running this system ourselves. And we can do that. With smart people out there and that have no benefit to no gain to themselves would start these big companies, and the government should be supporting that. Our senior government should be supporting that, and they support big business, and there's going to be a problem.
Thank you. Councillor Rapke again. Mark?
I'll throw out a couple benefits that just crossed my mind. One is, I think, was this a $500 million, I can't remember the project cost, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get revenue through our building permitting out of that. So there's a benefit for the municipality. The other thing is when we're talking, when Councillor Marshall was speaking, he's talking about natural gas and fossil fuels. Those are all non-renewables. That's really what this is all about, is renewable versus non-renewable. And the reason we even have energy problems in Ontario, our highest peak days are on the hottest, sunniest days of the year. That's when solar panels put out the most electricity, is when we need it most. So, I mean, when you're looking at the difference between solar and wind turbines, again, the solar makes a lot of sense because it's a variable capacity and it's needed and produces the most when it's needed and produces the most. So it makes a lot of sense to support, that again, and it's not obtrusive. It just doesn't have the impact it does with the wind turbine. So we are, moving towards a more renewable and sustainable form of energy. The economics can always be discussed later, but the point is that it does help offset our peak demand so that we don't have the blackout issues, I guess, that we had. I can't remember, that was 5 years ago now. But that's what, oh boy, so it's what was that, 10? Yeah, 10 years ago, so. So that's why, I mean, personally, I'm in favor of this.
Okay. I did ask Carrie, our treasurer this morning, or director of finance, and I don't know whether she's had time to, nope, okay. The question was, yeah, and I didn't expect you to put you on the spot, but I have asked Carrie just to kind of do a little bit of research going forward as to how these projects per se would be taxed. We do know that wind turbines, 1.2, 1.5, $2 million to put up a turbine. They will be taxed at an industrial rate, but it won't be at what it's costing to put the turbine up. It's at $40,000 of assessment per megawatt. So on your average 1.5 megawatt turbine, it'll be $60,000 worth of industrial assessment on a $1.5 million structure. I'm not sure how, and Carrie's going to be doing some research, as this is the first one that's put towards us, how a solar panel project would be assessed. The individual ones on individual properties, private landowners, we believe that it, whatever impact says that it's an improvement to the residents or the farm or the property owner, that it would show up on their impact. On a farming, we're not certain whether it shows up as a related increase to the farm and or to the residential. I'm not sure just where it fits in, but going to ask Carrie to just do a little bit of research or do some ourselves on where that fits into the tax purposes for it. I've heard certainly not a consensus here this morning on support. Mr. Allan is looking for, and Jeff Allan was the individual president, I believe, of First Ontario Energy Inc. And we did say that we would discuss it and give a report, give a request if a resolution is going to pass. If there is no support for the resolution, we'd just send them a letter. My feeling is we might as well send that out, Mark, and see if somebody will sign it. Got some support down there, and we will see if we're going to support it or not. So I'll wait for the resolution to come forward. Excuse me. I have a motion moved by David Molson and seconded by Mark Rapke. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey authorizes the Mayor and CEO to sign Resolution 6313 to 6713, supporting in principle the 5 ground mount solar generating facilities proposed by Bondfield Construction Company Limited. Any questions on the motion? Deputy Mayor Bell.
I'd like a recorded vote, please, Mr. Mayor.
Mark, have you got that?
I'll try to manage.
Okay. Take the vote, Mark.
Deputy Mayor Bell.
No.
Councillor Eccles.
Yes.
Mayor Eccles.
Yes.
Councillor Lawrence. Councillor Marshall.
Yes.
Councillor Mollison.
Yes.
Councillor Rapke.
Yes.
Councillor Thompson.
No.
The motion passes 5-3. So Mark, I'll ask that you can send that resolution out.
Actually, they authorized just for you to sign.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I'll get them later. Okay. Moving on then. We'll go to staff reports. And welcome this morning, Carrie. get down to that. Through ATVs here. Carrie, I think the first part of your report is the accounts, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll wait for the motion to come forward. Is there, before the motion comes forward, we've had the accounts presented to us. Is there any questions or comments on any of the accounts? Councillor Mollison.
Yeah, Your Worship, on halfway down the page, Owen Sound Vault Works, winter grave openings for 21, 24. Do we not store the remains until the spring?
Can we give you just what page that's
Sorry,
on?
my apologies.
It's halfway down which page?
Page 8.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
Just to make it easier.
Yeah. Carrie?
With the timing of it, once the frost is in the ground is when we stop, but because we had a mild winter at the beginning, we were still able to continue burying in ground and not need the chapel storage.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Any other questions? Excuse me, Councillor Eccles. John?
Page 4, Cedar Well excavating for taking frazzle ice out of the water. I was in there and they had a huge excavator sitting there. Did we pay the same amount of money for it as we paid for the little ones? Or, because I went in on Sunday morning and I sat there and the big one was just moving snowbanks from one side of the road to the other, and there was 2 little excavators sitting there doing absolutely nothing. And I hope we didn't pay big bucks for a big excavator to do what a little excavator could be doing.
Ken?
The bigger excavator certainly will be increased rate per hour, but there's a lot of advantages to the big excavator and take twice as much frazzle ice out of the river when it's working. And as far as when you take snow out of the river, it does have to be moved back so they can continue to take the frazzle ice out of the river. But my feeling on this is those bigger machines are far more productive than the yard and a quarter 200 Hitachis that he had in there. So.
And to further on that, I know that, or I'm assured that Cedar Well is only charging on a per hour basis. There isn't a setup fee or anything like that. It's only on the hours that the machine was running. So it's not how long they're just sitting there.
But we could move snow piles with the small excavator. We don't need to be paying for the big excavator sitting there. And I watched them for close to an hour, and that's all that he did. The one excavator was taking ice out of the river, and the big excavator was moving snow piles.
If I might, that was, I think, explained. They had to get it back from the river, I think, twice. You got to move it twice, Ken, is that right? Hi-ho puts it on the bank, right? Guy from the bank's got to move it back so they can put more on the bank. Right?
But we could have been using an $80 machine and not a $120 machine, because we got a small one taking it out and a big one taking it away. I mean, that's kind of backwards as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I guess that would probably change, I guess, about the amount of material there, but okay, I can see your point somewhat.
Ken?
With the bigger machine, John certainly has a longer boom on it too, so you can throw it back a lot farther from the what's coming out of the river, and then toss it back towards the ball field a lot further. So that's an advantage for us too.
It's something, if we can control the ice upriver, we wouldn't need to worry about having high hose downriver in the river. Don, further?
How many hours does it take Kerry to run up a $37,000 bill?
Total hours, it's just... Sorry. Yeah, it doesn't have a total hours on the bottom. I can add up the amount and get back to you on that.
Deputy Mayor Bell?
Ken, we're just about beating this thing to death, but this might be the last question. Do we get a portion of this 37,000 back? Is that our 100% cost, or is there some come back from the province?
We can apply for 50% funding on that invoice through the Conservation Authority and the M&R.
And in the past, we have been successful at receiving that funding. Any other questions on the accounts? Before I take the motion? Very good. I have a motion moved by John Eccles and seconded by Rob Thompson. Be it resolved that the Director of Finance Treasurer be authorized to pay the accounts presented as voucher number 4, 2013 of the Municipality of West Grey in the amount of $357,370.47. Any questions or comments on this motion? Call the question then. All those in favor? Any opposed? Declare that carried. Okay, thank you. Oh, one delayed comment on the accounts then?
Yeah, thank you,
Deputy Mayor Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pretty, I'm just looking through the accounts here, more of a comment than anything else. Winter control, the taking the snow off the streets. You've got here January the 9th and January the 30th. Pretty cheap, $1,900 to keep everybody up and happy up and down the main street in Durham. So I'll bring that forward. Staff did a good job.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out, and I think that the customers onto the businesses on Main Street appreciate that, although it probably would be more active for them to go up and over those snowbanks. I don't know whether Councillor Thompson had connected with that on the play day or not. Okay. Carrie, the next one on your report is our Sun Life, our benefits package, and a report there from Mosey and Mosey on our partnership with the county and other municipalities. Anything else to add on that?
Nope, fairly self-explanatory. We can see a reduction in our premiums for savings over the next 2 years until January 1st of 2015. Then the program will be reevaluated based on experience ratings. So, but it's short term. For the next 2 years, we can get a savings up front.
Very good. Any questions of Carrie before I introduce? I have a motion moved by David Mollison and seconded by Carol Lawrence. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby approves the transfer of extended health care and dental benefits to Sun Life effective May 1st, 2013. Any questions or comments on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Mark. And the last one, Carrie, we had bylaw to approve the MIII asset management agreement. So any questions before we get down into the bylaws? This is Carrie's bailiwick here when it comes to these applications. Any questions? Nope. This is to complete our asset management plan and get us into compliance for our asset management or for the MIII hopefully application that we're going forward with for the Durham Water new well. Sorry, Don. Councillor Marshall.
Just maybe a spin-off from this. AMO, with the help of Nelja Bell Chamber, did a asset management. He invented or made up a formula for seeing how their asset management was getting along in Scugog last year, and I was wondering if we maybe couldn't get a hold of that formula and do one for West Grey. There's a formula for, they throw all the numbers that the asset management came up with and threw it into this formula program, and it spit back out how far they were getting ahead or behind. And they figured that Scugog was going to have to add another almost $2,000 on every tax bill per year to keep up with their infrastructure.
And that will be part of what will come out of our asset management plan. That's one of the requirements with it. It'll show you how much you're using your assets versus how much you're putting in. But that will be part of the plan once we get it completed. It's mandatory. That's one of the things the province wants to see.
So the formula is already there. How long will it take for us to do that?
And it depends on how many assets we're putting in there. Right now, under this MIII asset management, we must do roads, bridges, water, and sewer to satisfy the requirement in order to be able to apply for capital funding. So that'll be our focus to start with. Then on our own, we can add the rest of our assets, recreation, building, all of our other assets, but those will come subsequent to this. The initial one we're going to focus on satisfying the provincial requirements for those 4 key areas.
Okay.
Just as a short aside to that, when you mentioned Scugog has a full-time fire department, and I don't know whether they factored that in or not, but they had an arbitration decision on their fire department, and it was a retroactive 23% increase to their 4 full-time fire staff. So there was certainly some concern that Scugog was expressed a couple of times to ministers and opposition leaders when they took questions on the arbitration process. So, yeah, Scugog has some other factors that they've got to have budgetary restraints on too. Okay. Well, if there's not, that was there for information, and the bylaw will be coming forward then on the asset management. Okay. Moving on then, Mark, I guess we're down to bylaws. And we have, I believe, 2 bylaws on the dock this morning. First one being bylaw number 21. And this one has been recommended by our Planning Advisory Committee for approval. And this motion is moved by Don B. Marshall and seconded by John Eccles. Be it resolved that bylaw number 21, 2013, being a bylaw to rezone part lot 1, concession 9, former township of Bentinck, PHTS Logistics Inc., be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CEO, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Is there any questions or comments on this? Other than it's been a struggle for PHTS to get here, but thankfully I think we're there and helping out some of our local businesses. No questions? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. And bylaw number 22 is the bylaw that we just spoke with from Kerry on the MIII Asset Management Program. I have a motion moved by Carol Lawrence and seconded by Mark Rapke. Be it resolved that bylaw number 22, 2013, being a bylaw to enter into a municipal infrastructure investment initiative, MIII Asset Management Program Agreement, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CEO, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Is there any questions or comments on this? I will offer one comment that came out of the conference at the Ministers Forum, formerly or more rationally known as the Bear Pit session. There was a municipality that already has their MIII asset management plan completed, and with the grant applications that are coming forward, which we have been successful going through the first phase and entering into the second one, this municipality said that they should have priority if they already have their asset management plan in place and bump anybody else down to the back. I think out of the 30 municipalities maybe in the province that have theirs, there was some support. The other 410 municipalities were kind of a little aghast at being excluded from this type of application. It is in the applications that, as we're going forward, we have to have our asset management plan completed by the end of this year. So I know that Carrie's going to be working diligently, and this funding will certainly help us out in getting that done. Any other comments or questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. There, Mark. Whoops, sorry. Nope, I got it right here in front of me. Okay, that brings us down. Any new business?
It's going to be a discussion on proposed wind turbine fees.
Oh, yes. Under new business, and the councillor who was going to bring it forward, Councillor Cutting, I believe wanted to have a discussion on wind turbine road fees, building department building fees, and where we're at right at the present moment. There is some information in front of council from Committee of the Whole asked if we could find, I think we have the Municipality of Grey Highlands has a very extensive permitting. I don't think we got much back from Brockton, but Huron, Kinloss, Chatsworth, there's 3 municipalities in Grey and Bruce that have not specific, but a number of fee schedules there that would be targeted or maybe a single application towards wind turbines.
We didn't get a response from Saugeen Shores or Kincardine.
No. And Marcus told me we did ask Saugeen Shores and Kincardine as well too, and have not got a response yet from those 2 municipalities. And I'm not sure whether Aaron Eldersley has put anything specific or not.
I haven't got a response from Aaron.
Yeah, and Aaron Eldersley hadn't responded yet either. But as you can see on the Grey Highlands one, there have changed theirs, that their industrial wind turbine is $35,000 per turbine, I think irregardless of size. That's very similar to the one in Chatsworth. Matter of fact, I think it's exactly the same as the one in Chatsworth. Entrance permits for 2012 Grey Highlands is at $6,500 plus a security deposit of $20,000 per kilometer. That's on the works. I'm sorry, that's on the entrance works, and the entrance permit itself is $5,000 for an industrial wind turbine off a road, and then a security of $50,000 with no box culvert or bridge, a box culvert $125,000 on a municipal road, and with a bridge $200,000. They want the turbine companies to put that as a security for the 20 years of the agreement. You can see that Huron Kinloss has their building permit fees are mirror West Gray's, where it's $15 per 100,000 of actual construction. They've just got theirs in as the footings and foundations. Ours is on the total structure cost. And Chatsworth is there. It's a $35,000 for the building permit and a $100,000 bond. Municipal right-of-way at $6,500 plus security deposit of $20,000. Wind tower municipal consultation with the renewable energy is $5,000 plus a $10,000 deposit or actual expenses for outside consultants, basically to do the peer review. And the wind tower entrance is similar in structure to what Grey Highlands has, is $5,000 plus securities, $50 for the road, $125 with a box culvert, and $200 for the bridge. those are the ones we have. And Ken, I don't believe we have any of those securities in our fees bylaw at this point in time. Where does council want to go with this? Is there any direction for staff to bring forward a amendment to our fees structure to recognize some of the points that we have? Councillor Eccles, John.
I would like us to have a definition of what an industrial wind turbine is. We argue about the ones that are up by Deputy Mayor Bell's. We argue about the size of the ones that are going out there. I would like a definition of what we really consider an industrial wind turbine, whether it's capable of producing power to the grid or if it's for home use. I would like some rigid guidelines that we can follow when considering this.
Have you got access to Google? Imagine you can probably find Wikipedia will have a number of descriptions for you.
Yeah, there's descriptive ones, I'm sure. Graphic.
Go ahead, you want to comment after that?
Well, I would have a real problem if someone wanted to put up a wind turbine to supply power for their house and maybe sell a bit of it off to the grid, and we're going to charge them $35,000 to put it up. I mean, that would be totally against everything with the green energy and what we really support.
And I would think in the bylaw itself, it would have to have a description of what an industrial wind turbine is. And I don't know whether in the Green Energy Act there is a description or not. We will, looking at Christine, the CEO, is saying she will take a look and try to research that for us. Carol, Councillor Lawrence.
Well, we haven't had a legal description in the subcommittee that we've been working with, but it's certainly our understanding it's these huge turbines that are coming on that are the industrial, not the kind that, you know, out by John's place. It's the huge ones. So, but if you want a legal description, fine. But we've certainly at any time have we been talking about the smaller ones that serve the farm and then sell some into the grid.
And I guess that's, where does that come into the description? Does it come in on the height of the turbine, or does it come in on the power ability to generate? And okay. Councillor Eccles, John, go ahead again.
Because when we look at some of these other ones from the other municipalities, they don't say industrial, it just says wind generation turbines. So I would like some guidelines that we can base our bylaws on, that's all.
Mark, Councillor Rapp.
So I think there's a few asks then from what was highlighted here. One is, do we want to look at changing our building permitting? And I think we've talked about that before. And I thought that if we used our structure, Mark, can you help me? Was that around $20,000 for the average? I think we assumed 1.5 million. I can't remember. Maybe you can't remember the number. I don't want to put you on the spot, but
15.
Well, it's $15 per thousand.
Yeah.
So you know, if it's $2 million, it's $30,000.
Yeah.
But the thought process was, if you have it just on a, you know, if it is there, that it is justifiable,
yeah,
and defendable,
yeah,
we can do that on the total structure.
Yeah.
The Green Energy Act is saying, if you're going to, from what I understand, it says, and that's why here in Kinloss is worded the way it is, you can only have a permit on the, you know, a set fee on the base, and on that aspect of it, you can't have it on the total cost of the unit. But if you have it on, you know, per thousand and described that way, so it's defendable, I believe.
So on that point, though, maybe that's something where we could get some clarification from staff. Are we, you know, our assumption is we can get a building permit fee using our existing structure on the entire amount. But I guess that's where we need clarification if it's only on the footing. Or do we have that? Like, I just don't know if that's another municipality's interpretation.
But that's on the footing and everything.
Yeah.
The way Brian is, our CBO's interpretation of it is, it's on what is it going to cost? Footings?
For the structure, just like every other building that goes up in West Gray. So for me, if that's the right answer, then I don't know why we would pursue that, because we're in the same order of magnitude as what I see from the other municipalities, only they're highlighting it as an individual structure, which I think we don't need to go through that.
Yeah. The question comes in is not so much on our building fees, building permits. I think we're fine there. It's our road use agreements that where we need to put some structure around that, because right now, Ken, the entrance permit for $600 was $400 refundable. Basically meaning, you know, and that was in our mindset for residential. Off of our road, but these are going to be considerably larger, and everybody's concerned about, you know, the couple of 100 ton of material that's got to come down some of those municipal roads. So
to me, that's not quite the actual access permit. What that is, like, do we have any bylaws about weight limits and all those things on our roadways? I know in the subcommittee we talked about this, and we've put in requests for other things like paving the road for that access and those. So I know that's in there, but I don't know that that'll be something that we get. So I'm wondering if we should be including something in our bylaws.
Yeah, the only type of restrictions we have now for load limit would be like for the spring of the year, where it's from March 15th to May 1st or something like that, but we have nothing beyond that, no.
And so I see like a lot of them here have, they're actually asking for a bond, I think, for the road use.
Yes.
So that, I mean, that would be something we could investigate, whether we think, does that sound right, that that's out of what's been proposed, that'd be something we could investigate further? I know we've asked about paving it, but that's through the REA. I'm not sure what that means.
I think that's through the road use agreement. Where these fees are coming from is bonds that are put into place. You know, we can ask for upgrading the road surface and whatnot, but these ones are saying, yeah, the bridge is okay for you to take a 15-ton structure weight load across it right now, but if you have to go back and forth across this and we assess it afterwards, and this bridge has deteriorated specifically directly because of your program, then we want to access that security for it, and that seems to be where municipalities are going now. We do not have that in our fees and structures to put into place.
Okay.
Carol?
Could we ask staff to come back with a draft that we can look at? It's something we need to do very quickly.
Yes.
And certainly what Chatsworth has in Great Highlands, I think it's kind of the same, and that's what we should be looking at for wind tower permit for works on municipal right-of-way, and then the consultation and the entrance permit. That's what we were talking about. Come back with this and have something in front of us that we can have a discussion on.
I'm going to suggest that we could have that by the March 18th, our next council meeting. I don't think that that's unreasonable. We have a fair bit. We still have a couple of municipalities hopefully we can hear from as well too out there. I don't know whether Meaford has put anything into place, the municipality of Meaford. And I know that I've heard that Georgian Bluffs is also looking in Grey County, but Aaron Elderslie, Saugeen Shores, Kincardine. Council's fine with leaving that in the trust of trying to find a middle ground amongst all of these and bringing a proposal forward to us. Carol?
Well, just in answer to John's question, I see in the bottom of Grey Highlands, they've got fees are not attributed to those proponents who are generating energy less than or equal to 3 kilowatts. Just rather interesting, I see the very bottom one, they have a illicit marijuana grow-op inspection, and they have a fee for that. That seems to be quite a crop in West Grey. Maybe we should be looking at that one too. This is for an inspection. So that would be police, I guess, that are going out there, but one way of recouping a bit of money when you got to go out there anyway and inspect them, cut them down.
Okay. Councillor Marshall.
Did the committee get a price on the driveway permit fees for a municipality that has, say, a couple hundred of these turbines already in place? Like Melanchthon?
Not our subcommittee, but it was the staff that were getting these fees for us. And I would say I think we should learn from the mistakes that were made in Melanchthon. Let's not repeat them.
Are you suggesting, Councillor Marshall, I think it is a good suggestion, that maybe we expand a bit of our research. Chatham-Kent certainly has a number of wind turbines. I think with our access through AMCTO and the CAO's network and the clerks network of clerks out there, we can send that out and ask what Dufferin County and or Melanchthon, Mulmer have down there. Okay? Yeah, better not leave Amaranth out there. They've got a fair number too in Amaranth, so we'll leave them in too. Okay? All right, Mark? Christine? Okay. We'll have that come back to us then on March the 18th.
Be a bylaw for.
I'm thinking that this will be a draft bylaw to be presented to us. Does council feel about passing it that on the 18th, that night? Or just reviewing it as draft?
Mr. Mayor?
It would.
Could we
Councillor
have
March.
it ready to pass, and if we don't want to, we can defer it, if we want more discussion on it?
Okay, we'll have it on the agenda as a bylaw then to be reviewed. Okay, so it's just not for a draft. All right, for information, then it will be a bylaw to pass, Mark. Okay, very good. Yeah, or consider, I shouldn't say to pass, to consider. Very good. Any other new business? Addendums, notice of motion or direct motion. Deputy Mayor Bell, you had something prepared.
Mr. Mayor, all right, I'll speak to this. Yes, I prepared a draft motion in support to the a resolution to support Dr. Lynn's assessment in the case of industrial turbines in Grey and Bruce counties. And Dr. Lynn and Dr. Aram, or whatever it was, prepared a report. As we know, Aram, thank you.
No, Dr. Ira Aram.
Ira Aram, thank you. Yes, prepared a report and it came forward as well publicized. Dr. Lynn has been inundated by calls from not only this part of the world, the province of Ontario, the Dominion of Canada, and many, many countries around the world, I understand, in support of her report and wanting more information to it. It's one of the first reports of its kind. I feel it's very important that West Grey show their support to Dr. Lynn in this particular case, simply because she has been our medical officer of health for a number of years. She does get, her salary does come from the province of Ontario, and along with that, her extensive knowledge, I guess, of the plight of some of the people in here in Grey and Bruce counties should speak well to the report. So with that, I'm proposing that we send a resolution in support, and I would ask that it be circulated to the rest of the municipalities in Ontario for that support. There is some support for a lot of other, in a lot of other municipalities for this kind of thing, and I think since this is a home, should we say a home-based report that has been prepared, that we do that support and show our due diligence towards it.
Okay, any other questions? Mark, Councillor Rapke.
Yeah, I think the Deputy Mayor has a very good point there. I haven't read taken the time to read the report, but certainly what I've read in the newspaper is the research shows that there's no evidence that it doesn't cause a problem. And certainly, as I was talking to some of the councillors earlier, when we were younger, we ran around outside in the sun. No one really thought it was a big deal if you got a sunburn, and now 30 years in the future we're finding out that can lead to skin cancer and all other things. So because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not a problem. So, and it looks like the research they did was essentially researching other research. There's nothing out there saying it doesn't cause a problem. So I really support the Deputy Mayor's position here.
I think you hit the, I do sit on the health unit, and yes, the presentation, what it was a review of the present literature that's out there. Dr. Aram is fascinating on being able to go through it. He, one of the points that he put out, just as a little aside, was that on one, I'm not computer tech savvy enough, but one site that had a lot of this, there was 440 million pages of research documents when he started that come up with wind analysis and whatnot. So he said, no, I didn't read all 440 million pages, basically filtered it back through until it came to potential and or distress from these projects. And quite literally what it's come down to is, yes, there's no direct effect, but there is an annoyance out there from them. Councillor Lawrence. Carol.
Thank you. Would Deputy Mayor's resolution speak to a moratorium until there's further, further discussion on Dr. Lynn's report, or is it simply supporting her report?
Your motion.
Yes, no, to support Dr. Lynn has made it clear that she's in support of a moratorium. Yes, and I think that West Grey needs to support that item with Dr. Lynn's report, within Dr. Lynn's report, yes.
So that's supporting it full. Okay. Bit of discussion on the direct motion. We'll need 2/3 majority to enter. Oh, so yes. Any other direct motions or notice of motions? Seeing none, we'll need 2/3 majority to introduce, to allow Mr. Bell's motion to be introduced. All those in favor of a direct motion? Opposed? I have 2/3 majority. Very good. It's your motion. Mr. Bell's motion is moved by John A. Bell and seconded by Rob Thompson. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Garry hereby supports the findings of the Literature Review 2013 associates between wind turbine noise and human distress, completed by Dr. Hazel Lynn, Medical Officer of Health of the Grey Bruce Health Unit, and Dr. Ian Ira. And further, that the resolution be forwarded to all municipalities in Ontario for support. Councillor Lawrence. Carol?
Is it wind turbine noise or just wind turbines? Because isn't there more than noise?
That's the title.
This was the title of the report.
With noise in it, is it really?
Yeah, wind turbine noise and human distress.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any further comments? Deputy Mayor Bell. John?
Yes, I would ask for a recorded vote of this also, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions or comments before I take the vote? Mark, I'll ask you to do the vote.
Deputy Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Councillor Eccles?
Yes.
Mayor Eccles?
Yes.
Councillor Lawrence?
Yes.
Councillor Marshall?
No.
Councillor Mollison?
Yes.
Councillor Rapke?
Yes.
And Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, you two still finished fighting over that microphone down there between you? Okay. So the motion passes 7-1. Okay. Closed session. I don't believe we have anything on closed session. Or matters arising from that? Have none. Question period. At this point in time, we'll take questions from the audience or anybody, media, that is out there from anything that was on the agenda today. Any questions? Yes, Ms. Blum. Jennifer.
Yes, good morning. First I'd like to congratulate Council on careful consideration of the ATV bylaw and proposed resolution. It sounded like everyone put a lot of thought, and there was a lot of discussion that went through that, so I was quite encouraged. I guess my question is, I'm wondering why the same amount of public consultation, thought, and then consideration didn't go into the resolution for solar panels. Seeking public input as far as posting where these might be developed, looking at any sort of implications, health, and other things that we're considering in wind turbines. There's only a 20-meter setback from these developments and residential areas. I'm quite disappointed in the lack of thought process that went into this. I guess my second part of that question would be, what would the impact be of withholding their support? It doesn't mean the projects are then shelved and can't go through. It just doesn't give them the fast track to being developed. So I really would have liked to see a little bit more time put into that. So I'm wondering why public consultation was not considered.
How do we answer? The process has come forward here. It was on the agenda from the last meeting with that information given by the proponent, and we did hold it up a couple of other times. What we have done with the rooftop ones, council thought that they had enough information at that point in time to make a decision. That evening on rooftop applications, this one, council's taken 2 weeks, yeah, a little more than 2 weeks now, to wrestle with that, make their the process, whether they wanted to go to public consultation or whether they felt they had enough information to step forward. It's not necessarily to fast track this proposal. What it does by giving council support to it means that there is a couple of more points, because it is a point system that is in favor of the ministries that are in charge of looking at these applications, whether they have those points to go forward and get their fit contract that is available out there to them at this point in time. And at that point in time, there would be considerable public consultation, I'm assuming, with the application of that when it comes forward there, whether they get the fit contract or not. Okay, thank you, Jen.
I have a question. Who is PHDS Logistics and where are they?
From an individual that lives in Bentic, I'm surprised you would ask that question. It's a Bentic. It's Phil Hurd Transportation Systems, just south of Elmwood, right on County 10 there. Saugeen Honey. Okay, got it now. That's his trucking depot is right there. Okay. Any other questions? Council? Seeing none. There's no Municipal Act notices, Mark, that I'm aware of. Very good. Motion to adjourn. Mr. Mollison has number 20. Dave moves that we adjourn. I'll accept that, and we stand adjourned until March the 18th, or until we have an emergency.